Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started here in just a minute. Hi, Sylvia. It says it in the description bar, but make sure you comment your name. You comment so we can see your name. My moderator had to take care of an emergency, so she's not here to check the stream as I do this. So make sure your name is in there, and we're going to go back in and draw names for the giveaway tomorrow morning. Just wanted to point that out. And I'm going to get started. So I'm going to turn off my screen up here. It's getting weird lighting because it's catching the light from my work table, and we'll get started. And I've got my computer in different areas so I can kind of keep an eye on the chat as we go as well. And I will do my best if there are any questions. So tonight we are making these adorable embroidery hoop wall hangings, and we made them with a pocket. So they're dual purpose of looking pretty, but also can hold anything you want in them. You can make them any size. For tonight, I have a little bit of smaller one so that I can make the whole thing in front of you without taking up too much of your time tonight. And so we'll get started. So to start, material-wise, what you need is an embroidery hoop. And you will need a piece of fabric. And the fabric, when you cut it, it's about 2 inches larger than the size of the hoop. You will also need, for this particular project, I am using a canvas. This is like a drop cloth canvas. It's a really soft canvas, same size as the 2 inches larger than your hoop. And the other circle you would need to cut out. And this just gives our piece of quilting cotton a little bit more bite to it, so it's not so thin. I am using ThermOWeb's woven soft Fusible. This was a piece of scrap that I had. You can also use their non-woven medium weight Fusible. I wouldn't go with light, and I wouldn't go with their craft firm. That would be too thick. You want it to have a little bit of give in case it ends up in the ring. Now the way I've cut it is I cut it exactly 5 inches, which is the size of my embroidery hoop, but it's still going to end up a little bit in there. So while I have my iron over here, I'm going to fuse the interfacing to my fabric before we move on to the next step, even though we won't be using this till the very end, but I want to be able to turn my iron off. So I'm going to let that warm up. While that's warming up, tonight we are also using HeatnBond fabric fuse, as well as, so this is their liquid adhesive, and we're also using the fabric fuse tape. And what I love about this project is it's essentially no-sew. I want to say it's not no-sew. You do a little bit of stitching along the back, just a little bit of hand stitching, as you can see here. But if you don't call this sewing, it's a no-sew project. There's no sewing machines involved. All right, so I'm just going to fuse my interfacing to the center of my quilting cotton circle. All right, and what I love about this iron, this one's Eliso's newest version, is it has an on-off button, which is great. So we're gonna just set this aside. We don't need this. I'm going to move this over, because what I wanna do next is, since we're using glue, I want this to dry while we are doing this program. So we're going to do the gluing part next. And I need to grab some clips. So this piece is going to be our pocket. So we are going to fold it in half. And this is what we'll be gluing our embellishments to. Now what I have here is, it's gross grain ribbon that was already pleated and sewn. You can find this online. I could not find this particular one to link for you guys. I did buy this probably 15 years ago and it's just been in my stash. But it is just gross grain ribbon that's been pleated, which you could make it yourself too. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue that to our canvas. And I'm going to do a pretty hefty glue. For this part too, you could also use this peel and stick fabric fuse tape. But since I'm going to be gluing the rickrack, I'm just going to glue it all. And we don't want it to be too low because you think about 2 inches of this is going to be hidden. So we're going to put it pretty far up there. So this is not an instant glue, so we're gonna clip it in place in a moment. But before we do that, we're gonna add this cute rickrack as well. Now for the embellishments on this canvas, the options are essentially limitless. I thought about doing some deco foil or some glitter spray, but I had some of this in my stash and it just looked so cute with the fabric that I'd picked out, which is kind of confetti sprinkle like. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the back of my rickrack. And this is obviously a lot bigger than what I need. We'll trim it down. And actually, I think pins will work better for this. Yeah, see, it won't just stay in place. We'll pull out the donut. She's been getting very well used. I have multiple donuts and it goes from one donut, then I use it in the other donut sitting at my sewing machine. So back and forth with the donuts. If you like this, there is a tutorial on my Instagram and my blog. Shows you how to make it. Which that is all linked up in the description if you're interested. So we'll just set that aside for now. Now this next part is the most tedious, and I wanted to do the gluing first because this will take most of our time. So you will take your embroidery hoop apart. I don't know which direction it goes. And you'll set the outer part, the inner part out of the way. We're going to be using this peel and stick fabric fuse tape, and it's very sticky. And we're going to use it to wrap around our outer hoop with some more ribbon. So how that works is, I'm just going to tighten this It is, depending on the size of your embroidery hoop, it is a little bit wider, but that's okay because it can wrap around. It's very sticky. And we're going to start at one end. We're going to do it in small sections because of how sticky it is. So I'm overlapping it, and then I'm going to wrap it around. And we'll do just a couple inches sections at a time. So you press it on and peel it off. And then I'm just going to wrap that down and around. And then you'll just start wrapping your ribbon. And for this case, I'm going to make sure my unfinished side is on the bottom. And we'll add some more of the peel and stick tape. So like I said, this is going to be the most tedious part, and that's why I chose a small embroidery hoop to do tonight. But how beautiful and how awesome would these be, like in all different sizes? So this one won't hold much. This might hold some clips and a small pair of scissors. But a bigger one could hold rotary cutters, rulers. And so as I'm doing, I'm just pulling really tightly. I don't know if you can see in the video, I have about one more spot left. So I'm going to go over that, pause, and then add more. Now for this part, you can also use this as well. This would work. This would just be a little bit messier. But this is instantly dry and it's great. And they also, if you're interested just in this in general for other items, they come in like a whole sheet as well. So you can make bigger things. And a reminder to those who have hopped on after I had started the live, make sure to say hello in the chat so that we can do the giveaway. We're doing a $25 giveaway of an online gift card for ThermOWeb. Dawn, she is usually my moderator, had something come up, so she couldn't be here tonight, and she would keep track of everyone. So what she's going to do is when she gets on tomorrow, she's going to look at the timestamps and put everyone's name into the drawing, and you will be announced. The winner will be announced tomorrow. So you will get a message or like a reminder via your Facebook saying someone commented on your comment if you won. So definitely make sure to say hello. And any questions, if you have questions, I can kind of take a look over at my computer. But I will, at the very end, go through to see if there's any questions that I can answer, and I'll tag you so you can get the answer. And this peel and stick would work great on plastic. The one that I have finished is actually a plastic embroidery hoop. So it works well on either plastic or the wooden ones. And I know I ask this every time, but if there is something you have a question, like a product or even a project, and it's something we could possibly do on a live, let me know. I'm always looking for ideas. Next month's will be the end of May. You can put that in the chat or put it on the feed for the group. Either works. And the tape is pretty forgiving with this, so if you mess up, you can lift it back up. I don't know why I'm not cutting it. I'm just ripping it. It works better to cut it. I've seen really cute designs with embroidery hoop art where you put like these pom-poms that stick out. That would be really cute too. We're getting close to the end. And this, I mean, this comes together really quickly. The only prep work I did for this for you guys tonight is cut the circles. So I'm going to make the bow and everything in front of you. And so I'll show you. If you've never made a gross grain bow, you'll see that as well tonight. Now to finish this, I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to actually, got a little piece here. We'll attach this ending and the beginning with a little piece underneath. Not sure if you can see that. And then gross grain, you can also take like a little lighter if you don't want the raw edge to fray, and just give it a little burn. It'll melt. Okay, that's probably what I'm going to have to do right here. It's fraying a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue there. I use this when I'm making buttonholes. I put it around the buttonhole to help with fraying. Okay, all right. So we got that done, and then I'll check to see if that is how that's doing, because that's just all we're waiting on now. All right, so while that's still drying, next we're going to make the bow. So for the bow, I have 2 pieces of gross grain ribbon, and this one is, I believe, 8 inches. Let me grab my ruler. So make sure I give you the right measurements. Yes, 8 inches for one, and the other one is 6 inches. And to make these, we're going to fold them in a loop. You're going to overlap them. I'm overlapping them probably about 3/4 of an inch. And you're going to find the center. And I'm going to use a pin to just hold that in place for me right now. And you're going to do the same thing with your smaller one. Roll it into a loop, overlap, and pin. And then we're going to use my handy upholstery thread that I use for everything. And I already have this cut for the back, but we won't really need that much of it for the bow, so we're going to use the same piece. And what we're going to do is it really doesn't matter if you start with the bigger one or the smaller one. You're going to insert your needle into your ribbon and just do a running stitch up the ribbon. So a running stitch is where you just go up and down, up and down. And now that we've gotten close to the end, I'm going to overlap the small one just slightly. If you see that, just slightly over top. To keep them together. And come up through all 4 layers. And then continue that running stitch up the ribbon. I'm trying to do it so you guys can see it. A lot of the times when I do hand sewing, I do it like really close to my body. So this is just a different angle. Okay, then once you get it all the way through, you can see that, you're going to pull it nice and tight and let those come together like that. And you're going to take your thread and wrap it around a few times the center of your bow. You can kind of mess with the pieces and it'll look like that. And this is the back. This is where the raw edges of the bow are. So we're going to tie off our thread back here. And it got wrapped around. And I always do 3 for luck. Okay. But to make this look really nice with our frame, we're going to add just a little bit of this ribbon with the peel and stick with this. You could also use the glue, but this works nice and it holds it really well. So we're going to need to cut it down into small strips because of the width of the ribbon. But we'll put that in here. Wrap it around the front and bring it to the back. And then we're going to add one more piece to overlap them. And for this, I'm actually going to place it on the open side of the ribbon so I know how far, because I don't want any of that sticking up. I mean, we are going to stick it to here, but there. And I don't have my lighter up here, but if it was me, I would trim this and give it a little burn to seal those edges in. And there's our bow. All right. So let's check this. It still might not be dry, so I might just have to leave that on there as I'm putting it together. I don't want to have you guys sit here and watch glue dry. So to finish, we're going to grab the piece we did earlier and this piece. And you're going to layer them together, just matching the raw edges. And this piece goes in the back. And you just want to make sure these are all overlapping about the 2-inch mark. What I can do is I'll get this one lined up because it is the same size as this. Just about, we can do it that way. And like I said earlier, you can use the peel and stick fabric fuse on here. The reason I use the glue is because the rick rack is way too small for that. So what I'm gonna do is take that one off and I'm gonna loosen this up really nice. got a pin over here. And we're going to push that down. I might have to loosen it up just a little bit more. It's a little thick, but that helps keep it really tight so that it holds your items really well. All right, we got it on there. We probably could take our pins out now that they're tightened in there. And then we're going to tighten it up as best that we can. So however tight you can get it, because you don't want it popping off. Okay. And then we just have to finish the back. I think I can take that one off. So finishing the back, we're going to use our upholstery thread again. First, let's trim these. We don't need all this excess on here. We need the excess around it because that's what's going to fold around once we tie it off. And let's tie a knot. And this is the same stitch as the bow. We're just going to be going down and up, down and up. And we're just going to go around the all close to the edges we can. And your stitches don't have to be super tiny. I'm making mine about 1 inch apart. And I saw someone on the chat said they never use an embroidery hoop for art. Just look it up on Pinterest or Google, or there are so many other things. You can do little applique pieces that then you just put in the hoop. You can do letters. I was talking like a deco foil is something really pretty that can be done. Make it shiny. And they have a built-in hook on them already too, which is really nice. All right, so once you get back to the beginning, which I'm almost there, we're gonna pull really tight. And that's just gonna, hopefully my knot at the end will hold. That's what and it's a little thicker down here, so that's why it's not pulling as tightly as that, but that's okay. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue my stitching just a little bit further to make sure I can really pull that tight. Sorry for the squeaking, that's the needle or the pins on the other side scraping my table. And once you get it pulled really tight, you'll tie it off. That's where it takes 2 good hands, one to hold really tight the thread and the other to tie it off. And then cut your thread. All right, there it is. So final step actually is to add the bow. And you could either glue it. We're actually going to use both glue and the peel and stick tape. We're going to tape it on initially and then add little bits of glue up inside to let it dry. But this will at least give it its initial hold. And then that kind of helps hide the hook. And the tape would do just fine. I like, for good measure, adding just a little bit extra here, right under there. Just a little bit of glue for good measure. Because this is a permanent fabric bonding glue, so. And I think these are, and they're tight enough I can take them out. And there it is, all finished. If anybody came on late and didn't hear me before, make sure you say hello in the chat so that you can be entered for a drawing for a $25 ThermOWeb online gift card. I'll keep the live going for a few more minutes and see if there's any questions. I'll go over to the computer. But I want to thank you all for joining. Here's the other one. So yeah, put some clips in this one. And let me know if there's anything you want to see for next month or going forward. The next Facebook Live is going to be done by Lisa again, and that is in, I believe, 2 weeks on a Thursday. I don't know the exact date, but be on the lookout for a event invite. She does some awesome projects as well. All right, so thanks for joining, everyone. I'll keep the chat open for just a little longer. Everyone have a great night. The glue, I see in a chat, show the glue again. It's a Fabric Fuse liquid adhesive. And I also saw something about using this for like a gift card or for a recipe. That is an awesome idea. Love it. So yep, so we used Fabric Fuse liquid adhesive tonight, as well as Peel and Stick Fabric Fuse. And I also used, I don't have it out here because I already had it cut, but was soft woven fusible interfacing, which was on the quilting cotton to give it a little bit of thickness to the frame.